Yo, what up? Welcome to Arctic View. I'm Josie, and today I'm going to do a book tag. It's been about a year, I think, since I did one last time, and I decided to do a Goodreads one. But I modified it a bit because three of the questions don't really apply to me. They were concerning quotes. I don't really care about quotes. About groups. I'm in two groups, but I'm not active there. It was just to find out what booktubing is all about. And then what else? Wish list. I didn't know they had a wish list, and I couldn't find it. So if anybody wants to buy me any books, then contact me. I'll give you my wish list. But without further ado, let's get cracking. And the first question is, what was the last book that you shelved and or marked as read? The last book that I marked as read was Seven Devils. It's a book by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb, and it's obviously a sci-fi book, but what's special about it is that it has an all-female cast, so I think there are, there are six women and one man who is just not that important, and the women are different, capable. They all have very thought out backstories, and everybody is a true character. And you know, I love sci-fi. I enjoyed this a lot, and I'm hoping to read the second book as soon as I can get my hands on it. Enjoyed it. A bigger review coming when I do my autumn reads. Now, the second question is, what are you currently reading? What I'm currently reading is that pile over there and that pile over there. But if you want me to be more specific, then I'm currently reading two books. First is The Puzzle of Polynesia, Sea People by Christina Thompson. And this is a book I got from the States, from a small shop in Cleveland. And it had all sorts of different books that I hadn't seen. It was a really great selection, and I found that from there. And I'm almost done with this. I have about 60 pages to go. It's very, very interesting. I love everything to do with further places, with exploration. There's a map of Polynesia. Easter Islands, fascinating. Hawaii, fascinating. New Zealand, even more fascinating. And Marquesas, which I hadn't heard about before, and Tuamotu Archipelago. Oh, it's so interesting. It has archaeology, anthropology, and just everything. I'm enjoying it. So I'm currently reading this, and I have started this. It's like feminism from the suffragettes to influencers and who they leave behind by Koa Beck. And again, this is something that the fourth wave feminism is trying to tackle, which is that the feminism, the three waves of feminism have been very middle to upper class and white. And this book, I wouldn't say it exposes it, we are all aware of it, but it really makes you consider what's going on, and just puts a mirror in front of your face, as I am a white middle class person. And very interesting, just started it. It's a bit more harder than the previous one because it's quite academic, but still very good. The third question is, what was the last book you marked as to be read? So I would say, what was the last book I added to my want to read shelf on Goodreads? And that was, let me see, One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. And it's the author, if I'm not mistaken, of the Red, White and Royal Blue. And it's a story that doesn't involve men, or young men now, but young women. I'm curious to see how it is. Not sure when I will get to it, but that's my next to be read. And now, what is the book? Fourth question is, what is the book I'm going to read next? And the book that I'm going to read next is another book I got from the States, from Amazon, and it's called White Trash, The 400-Year Untold History of Class in America by Nancy Eisenberg. And I am very, very excited about it. I want to read it before I go to Japan because there's absolutely no reason for me to take this with me. I won't need it there. It's a lot of text, but I hope that it will be really interesting. I've been wanting to read this for years, and obviously it tackles whatever this title was. The fifth question is something that I added to the tag, and it is what year did you read the most books and how many? The Goodreads is a great place to track your reading, and I found it very motivating when I first started it because I could see how much I was reading, how many pages, and I wanted to just up the page count and the book count every year, and it was great for motivation, like I said. And the year that I read most books was 2018. I don't know what was going on there, but I managed to read, let me see, 78 books. This year I'm on 13. But yeah, 78 books, a lot of them quite like easy books, like crime novels or young adult books, but yeah. To live that time again. Now, the sixth question is, what is the longest book that you have read? And for the longest book that I have read, it turned out to be a tie. Both of these books have 672 pages. The first of them is Bill Bryson's One Summer America 1927. It talks about all the things that happened in the year of 1927. It's also in Estonian. It's very, very interesting. Bill Bryson is a wonderful storyteller. He has written so many different books, but yes, this is something that started my interest in his books. And it's historical. It talks about society. It talks about people. It's very well done. It's very engaging. But I have to say that the other book that has 672 pages is super engaging as well, and this is my favorite topic. So it's by Joyce E. Chaplin, and I think that translation would be original title, Round About the Earth, Circumnavigation from Magellan to Orbit. So this talks about how people have gone around the world. It starts with Magellan, or Magalhaes, like we say it in Estonian, how he did it in 3 years, or his party did it. He died during the trip. And then after, what happened? And it goes into like crazy things, like people who have gone around the world with air balloons, stories about going around the world in 80 days, all of you know that story. Then going around the world in a car, the first woman who went around the world, going around the world like in a small boat by oneself, and then going around the world in space ships. So I love this book a lot. It's one of my favorite books, and I read it like I was eating a burger, very fast and with a full enjoyment. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's again the storytelling is so good that you don't even notice that it's so long. So these are two of my favorite books anyway, but they also happen to be the longest ones. For the shortest book that I have read, I don't have it with me, and it's obviously going to be a comic book. It was Fence by S.P. Spakat and another person whose name I can't remember from the top of my head. And it was just a comic about fencing. I didn't find it that interesting. I didn't find the cast interesting. And it was the first volume, and I didn't buy the second or third or whatnot. So it has been lost to the ages. Now, another category that I always find very interesting when I go on Goodreads to stalk people's accounts, and that's what kind of shelves do they have. You can just have read, currently reading, and want to read, but that's not interesting, especially if you read a lot. And I have my own set of shelves, and this question, the eighth question, is about what are the most shelved books besides the free categories that the Goodreads gives you. My surprise, my most books shelf is history. I have shelved about 100 history books, but because there are so many, I do have like smaller sections like country-specific history, history from ancient times, history modern times, history 20th century, history whatever, Middle Ages, history miscellaneous. But yes, history is my most read category. And the next one is fantasy. I think the reason that I have shelved 68 fantasy books is because a lot of young adult that I read is also fantasy, and obviously all the Potter and Lord of the Rings books and Terry Pratchett, it's like fantasy. But I do read sci-fi, in my opinion, more than fantasy, but obviously not. And the third most shelved books is my LGBTQIA plus shelf, and it has 54 books. And again, some of these books have been shelved to history, some of them have been to fantasy or sci-fi or feminism shelves as well, but yes, there's quite a significant amount of books with LGBT plus topics that I have read. Now, the ninth question is, do you use the star rating system? I do. I used to do it a lot more. I was quite into reviewing, like writing long reviews about the things, but then I started doing the videos for YouTube, and it felt like kind of silly to do it twice. So I just started talking about it here. But I do still leave like star ratings, and my usual rating, I think what they said is 3.93. So I would say I'm not easily satisfied with books, but I do read good books. The 10th question is, do you do the yearly reading challenge? I do. This is one of the things that motivates, or used to motivate me a lot, and I always find interesting to see what other people do and how many books they read. And if you want some stats, let me see. I started doing it 2015, so that's the year I made my Goodreads account. That's 6 years ago. Wow, okay. In 2015, I started in the middle of the year, and I read 20 books. Then 2016 and 2017, my goal was 60 books, and both times I went over it. In 2018, it was 75 books, and I read 78. How? Then it's been a slow decline because next years after that were 30 and 30. I did hit those, and for this year I wanted to do 40, but I think I'm going to have to lower it to 20 to just hit that and read quite a bit more. Maybe some like crime novels or young adult that I've been ignoring. So yes. And the final question is, what book are you planning on buying next? And that book is none. I am broke. I am so broke. I have about 400 books in my apartment, so I really don't need to buy any more. I'm currently drowning in books that I have to read, but yes, I'm currently not planning on buying any books. That's it. This was my Goodreads tag with some extra questions. Do you use Goodreads? Do you find it motivating, or do you find it stressful? And leave one book that you want me to read. If you feel like there's something that I'm missing from my lists, put something that you think that I will enjoy in the comments, and I'll check it out. That's it for me today. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Get vaccinated if you haven't. Get a booster. I got a booster yesterday. My hand hurts a lot. Yes, this has been all. Thank you for watching. Bye.